We have Renae and Krissie. We're gonna just kind of make this super informal, kind of like a Q&A. So if you guys can think of any questions you have, I mean, we can go over the basics. I would like to start off with saying how important I think warming up your body before you play is. Not necessarily going out and throwing like 12 holes to warm up, but like taking the time to like get out of the car, stretch, throw a couple of up shots. I don't even warm up with drivers. I start off with my putters in a field, and then I throw my mid ranges. I throw them full, just like a full flight, and then I do some putting. If you would like to see some really great disc golf stretches, you can go to Disc Golf Strong, and he puts out great content. He works with a lot of the touring professional pros, and he has some great things out there. So it's not even so much for your game, it's more about just keeping you healthy and keeping your body healthy. Yeah, that's it. That's what I think is important. Does anyone do we want to start off with questions? We don't have really like a lot of time. So, what's your, anybody? I know you have questions, don't be afraid.
What would you guys say is the best way to keep a consistent
Consistent Annie? That is,
I'll talk.
yeah, go ahead.
I'll talk a little bit about Annie's, and that's because it's one of my favorite shots in disc golf, honestly. Also because when I couldn't flick or forehand for a while, like that was a good way to kind of get that same shot. So what I do personally is I find a disc that if I throw it straight, it wants to go right anyways. So your more understable disc. Some that I recommend is the mid disc retail, which is kind of new. That one's like my favorite. I can throw it like 200 on a straight line before it starts to actually Annie. So choosing the right disc. If you try to do that with a destroyer, you're gonna have to really crank it over and work too hard for that Annie. You don't really want that. The other thing I would recommend is lighter weight discs. You don't need to be cranking at 175 over unless it's like a headwind or something, but yeah, choosing those lighter weight discs to stay on that flight. Any other ones?
I was going to say also, like reading the winds, I think that's really important when you're choosing to throw an Annie shot, because if you're throwing if you're throwing under a really strong headwind, it's gonna like dump out a lot faster. Whereas if you're throwing in a tailwind, it's gonna try to fight that Annie more. So like also be really aware of what the wind is doing whenever you're deciding like how much angle you're gonna put on your disc. That's my 2 cents.
Is the question back here?
I could throw lighter discs and understable. Same thing, like I don't know that not.
Sure.
On a real strong wind, like those light ones, like the 160 that I can throw.
Yeah.
What should I throw in that game?
What disc are you throwing? Like if you walk up to your tee, what disc are you throwing into a headwind?
So I guess my first pick would have been like a diamond.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. In a headwind, no matter what shot you're trying to throw, but I always try to choose my stable disc, my most stable, and you really have to throw it flat in a headwind. I don't know. I throw like 167s to 175. I really don't know that it would make that big of a difference if it was a lightweight. A lightweight. Just pick something stable and make sure you throw it flat. If you put it like this, the wind is going to catch up under the lip and it's just going to dump it out left. Or left if you're right.
Yeah, definitely like the angle is going to be the most important for sure.
Yeah. Back to the Annie shots. Like Renae said, you want to find a disc that you can throw flat. My problem is in my brain, I think I have to go like this. Immediately, my angle is down. It's gonna hit it. It's gonna cut roll. It's gonna go all over the place. So it's super important to kind of have your elbow high. Your elbow always wants to be high on any shot, and you want to come back this way and pull here, but keep that roundness in your arm and let it go here. And you want to finish with your arm down. So for a hyzer, you would want it here. For a flat shot, here. And then for an Annie, down. sponsored by Men. I also think that the Freetail is great. Freetail is great. Also, road runners and sidewinders, which are Innova discs. I don't really know very much about a lot of other discs, so I can recommend those. Also, maybe starting with mid-ranges. Instead of taking your drive route and trying to throw a power Annie, just take your putters, your mid-ranges, and do standstill, and just really get that arm down, and then move up to a driver.
So, stable versus understable. For somebody that doesn't have a very far drive, what do you recommend as far as understable?
Understable and slower speed too. So like all your discs have like like 4 numbers that are like a flight rating, right? And the first number is like the speed of the disc. And so like when you have an arm speed that can throw like in the range of what that disc is supposed to be, like that's exactly how it flies. But if you throw like, let's say a 10-speed disc, but you're only kind of throwing it like an 8 level, even though it might be like understable because it's too fast, it still might just kind of like be on that hyzer. So it's really important to like, kind of gauge your arm speed and know like what the appropriate speed of disc is for you. That has a lot to do with it too. Yeah, it's complicated.
Are you also asking like for disc recommendations?
Well, I'm an MVP.
MVP?
I like the Freetail.
Okay, you like
Yeah.
the Freetail. That's a really good one. Me too. And the 2 different plastics that they have, one tends to be a little more flippy or understable than the other. So if you find you're flipping over one of them, just switch that up to that other plastic, and maybe you won't be flipping that one over too hard.
What's the lowest weight
Like 167.
Yeah,
I think
I think they
167.
only came out max weight. Yeah.
But 167 for the Freetail is actually nice.
Yeah.
I know some ladies that usually throw 150 range, 156 range. I feel comfortable throwing Freetail heavier, honestly, because I already know it's understable, so I can manipulate it a little bit more and trust that it's going to come back out still.
It's a very touchy disc, in my opinion. Like, you have to throw it correct, or it's taken me a long time to figure out how to throw it. Also, if you are looking for disc recommendations, like you can always go to your local disc golf shops. The employees there will help you out. They have, they know a ton of stuff, like Disc Nation, Play It Again Sports, support the local retailers, but they will help you pick out discs for your arm,
Yeah.
It's kind of hard, like, to say I could list a bunch of stable discs. My personal favorite is a Wraith. I love Wraiths. I have it in Star Plastic, I have it in Pro Plastic. I love it. I use it for any headwind, distance drives. And my distance is maybe like, I don't know, 300, 3 something, 320. So I don't throw it extremely far, but if you throw it nice and flat, or whatever shot you need.
Yeah.
Do we have any other questions?
I have one.
Yes.
So I have a really bad habit of like throwing nose up, which I feel like bothers me a lot.
Yes.
What are some ways to help like keep that nose down when I throw?
Well, I personally stare my disc down before I go. So I'm like looking at it. Yes, I'm looking out there where I want to aim, but I'm making sure that that plate is flat. So that, and kind of doing that motion when you're on the box. The other thing I'd recommend is getting maybe like a towel and trying to pop that towel. So starting over here and popping this way, because you won't pop a towel up here, right, or up here. You're going to want to aim lower, which is going to help you work on that nose down.
Also, you don't want to think about driving your arm down. You want to stay low. Our most powerful part of our body as women are our hips. Doesn't matter, your body type or not. Our hips are our strongest, our legs. So you really want to get down. Like, I think I'm getting down on the ground, but I'm not. Like, I'm stand too tall. I'm working on, getting down on my legs more. But it's more about if you stay low and you keep the disc in the center of your chest and keep that everything tight, it's going to come out right here. And also you could be lifting up. You could be starting starting off, you know, like doing everything perfect, coming back and you're low, and then when you come, you go up. That's gonna bring your disc up. So, my suggestion is no one likes to see themselves on video or any of that. I don't. Video yourself, look at it, do it by yourself. Have, you know, just, it's gonna help you because you think you're doing one thing because you're like, I know this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm low, I got my arm right, and I look at a video and I'm like, I didn't do any of that.
Yeah.
So it's just really important. It helps to have the visual.
Any good recommendations on good putting, practice putting more? That you ladies like that? Like a ritual that you do, like, okay, I do one, two, three.
So,
Yeah, go ahead.
okay, my biggest thing with putting is like breathing. I know that sounds really weird, but like in professional like golf, they always tell you to like, you know, get set, right? Inhale, exhale, and then putt. So like I apply that to disc golf too. So like every time when I get up to putt, like I get up there and I do my little thing, you know, like I do a couple like practice strokes or whatever, and then I take in my deep breath, and then I breathe out, and then I fire. Like for me, breathing is the most like important part of putting. And if I'm having like a really bad round putting, usually if I just like take a step back and like actually consciously think about my breathing, it tends to help me a lot. Yeah. But everybody has like their own routine and whatever makes them comfortable. The important part is consistency. Like really try to do what is comfortable for you and then do it over and over and over again. And that's going to be like the quickest way for you to get good at putting is developing a really consistent routine.
I was just gonna say, yeah, that pretty much covers it. But like a perfect analogy of that is basketball players that go up for a free throw. Every single time they go up, they do the exact same routine before they make that free throw. So that's exactly what you need to do while putting. Is every single time, no matter how close you are or far you are from the basket, do that same routine. Make sure you're breathing. I find when I miss, it's because I'm tense and I forgot to like. I'll even say I forgot to breathe.
Yeah.
You gotta breathe. Take that.
And then I always say find little keywords in your head that like remind you to, you know, like just go straight in the basket. So like I have 2 keywords besides my breathing that help me with my putting. The first one is to keep my chest up. I have a really bad habit of like getting down like this, and when my chest is down, I usually end up missing low. So like, yeah, I still want my legs to be engaged and like be nice and low, right? But I really try to like keep my chest up. That helps me. And then my other one is I tell myself to keep my fingers strong. I know that sounds really weird, but like sometimes if I'm just like in a tournament and I'm missing these like deeper putts, it's because like my fingers at the bottom of my disc aren't engaged. And so I tell myself to make sure I keep my fingers engaged, and then I get a lot more spin and it goes straighter towards the basket. So those are like my 3 key things for putting. Yeah. Anybody else?
I would say just practice, like do all those things, keep your chest up, be proud, you know, engage your core, engage your legs, have a routine, that's super important. Treat every putt like it's a serious, if I'm here, I don't, you know, I want to be taking it serious, you know? Yeah, I don't know, putting's,
It's all about practice when it comes to putting.
and confidence, it's all about your way of thinking.
And like telling yourself whenever you walk up to a putt, like I can make this putt. I made this putt like 50 times in practice before. Just because I'm in a tournament, like it's no different. I can do this. Like, I always have to top myself up on putting. And that really helps too, because if you walk out to a putt and you don't think you're gonna make it, like guess what? You're probably not gonna make it. So having a really good like mental approach to putting is really important too. I took my mask off after I finished.
Is there anything that you individually do? Everyone's different, but is there anything that helps you to keep your mindset good, even like if you messed up, or just to keep your mindset in that good mode,
Yes. I actually have like a tournament ritual, like not like so much a ritual, but the night before I always pack my food. I always bring food to the course. I get to the course like an hour ahead of time. But being on the course, just try to find something that's beautiful. Find something in nature. That's what I do. I try to look for something. It's easy. It's easy to get in that mindset. I was just there last weekend at Texas Women's. It was a putting disaster. I lost my mind, and I just had to like breathe. Breathing is so important. I mean, in exercise and in life, I mean, like taking deep breaths and just calming yourself down internally is gonna help change your brain. But if you need to pop in a headphone and listen to your favorite song, if you need to do 5 jumping jacks, like whatever it is that you find,
One thing I always do too is think about all of the other like crappy things I could be doing. Like I could be at home like cleaning my house, or I could be working, or I like could not be having this opportunity to be out here like playing disc golf. And sometimes when I like think about that, like it really helps to pull me out of that like negative mindset. Just try a bunch of the different things and you'll find what works for you. That's what disc golf is all about, is finding what makes you comfortable and what helps you to play good, for sure.
And just know that everyone has those rounds.
Yes.
You're not alone. Everyone shakes their shot. Everyone gets to the basket for birdie and misses the putt. You see it in the top car. I mean, like, it happens. We have off days. And so...
Yeah, I actually kind of sing myself a song. I just, you know, do the just keep swimming, just keep swimming. And I try to actually, I sing a lot on the course, like trying to keep the positive vibes for everybody on the car and myself. And so I kind of distract myself with being bubbly and singing and making sure I'm aware that I'm not there just to compete. There's so much more to the tournaments than competing. And so and also keep in mind, if you have a negative attitude, you can affect your card mates, and that's just not fair to them. So just stay positive and, like, you know, remember why you started throwing in the first place.
Yes, ma'am.
Sometimes I get what I call the case of the hand, right? I guess sometimes I don't realize whenever I do release that my disc is good.
I think that's also called tournament arm.
I
Yeah.
don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just like my core, how I throw because it's right now, but it doesn't.
So maybe it could be taking a longer second on the box, doing a warm up, like a warm up before you just go straight to it. And maybe throwing something more stable.
Until you kind of like work yourself
That
out.
way, if it does go out that way, it's going to come back left for you.
I've been there before too.
It might be, I want to make eye contact. It might be you're trying to throw it too hard. I tend to notice, for some reason, I think I've noticed when you throw a shot on an Anheuser, that's how you're going to get the furthest distance for us. And I noticed that a lot of women, we tend to turn everything over. We throw everything with an Annie. Even myself, it took me years to actually throw a true hyzer and not just throw a super stable disc. So just knowing that just throw as hard as you can. Don't try to out-throw your card mates. Don't try to say, oh, this hole is 350 feet, I need to be 300. Just pick the disc that's going to give you the best shot. And then just trying not to overthrow it. Just keep your form nice and tight. Like Renae says, free warm-up shots are huge. I didn't always do it, but I've started to incorporate them much more into my routine. I get up there and I throw. I don't just do a slow, reach back. I used to, but now it's like I need to pull back, I need to fire. And that is how I'm going to really get my swing correctly. And so, like, you're warming up. If you want to throw a hyzer, you come down. I think a lot of times we think we have to pull you want to be back, but you don't want your arm reaching back. You want to be turning with your hips. You want to turn your hips, get low, and then pull the disc in tight, and then fire. And I mean, you should be holding onto the disc so hard that, like, someone can't take it out of your hand. You have, like, loose grip, you're not really going to get a lot of power on it. So just throw what you can throw. And I suggest going to a field and trying to track, like, what your distance is, what your consistency is, and then you can set goals from there.
So when you're throwing your drive and you're like, I'm wondering at what level I have my top of my hand. Like that? Like that. and I follow through all the way. So what do you, I mean, I feel like when I do this, when I turn my hand like this,
Yes.
it goes up.
Yeah, you want to have kind of like a slight curl. You don't want to be holding it straight out. Like, you want to have it in your palm. Like, the rim of my disc is touching the inside of my palm. And I'm squeezing my thumb down and my fingers. And I'm pinching on the disc. And it is hard. Like, you know, your hand should be fatigued at the end of the tournament. And so you pull back and your hand stays here. So everything stays like in a line. Like there's a string pulling your arm. And then you pop, you fling your arm open and then you go.
Just really think about what she said about keeping your arm on that same like level the whole time. Like there shouldn't be any like variability between like your elbow starting right here and being up here when you finish. Like you want your elbow to be like the same level, like all the way through. Yep.
And use a towel like Renae said. Do it in a mirror.
Yep.
Do it while you're watching Netflix. Get it this. Stand in your whatever. Just do it over and over again. You know, you don't have to be on the course to be practicing disc golf.
One last question.
What's a good, if you're going to practice in a field, what is a good routine? Once you get there, all your stuff there, like what's a good routine to do while you're on the field?
For field work?
I think again, like Stephanie said, with like you're saying before a tournament,
That or just
or
practicing?
just field work.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think kind of what she had said in the beginning, which is starting out with your putters. Like, don't pick up a driver and that be your first go-to when doing field work. I think starting with your putters and having something you're aiming for in the field also. Maybe in the beginning you don't have to do that because you're trying to figure out your flight paths for each of the discs. But then once you do that, then having a target, then move up to your mids. And then I think Stephanie does it a lot more than me, so I think.
What I do for field work is like, I feel like I start with my putters, like everybody else has said, right? And like once I throw my first putter, wherever my putter lands, like that's where I try to get the rest of my putters to land. Because like for me, field work isn't about like just going out there and trying to throw as far as you can every time. It's also about consistency, right? So like I'll throw my first putter, and like wherever it lands, no matter how good or bad of a shot it is, my next 3 throws with my putter, I'm gonna try to hit that same disc, right? And then when I move up to my mid ranges, I do the same thing. Wherever my first mid range lands, like that's where I try to get all of my mid ranges to land. That's like kind of how I don't know, format it, I guess. And then, you know, once I guess you get like warm and you're on like your last set, like yeah, try to throw the heck out of everything. But if you go to field work and you just try to throw as hard as you can, you're gonna be done in like 20 minutes. So
there's some truth to throwing, driving with your putters.
Yes.
Heck yeah.
I threw a putter off the tee a lot today.
Yeah. When people always ask me about like advice for flicking, I always tell people start with a putter. Like learn how to flick a putter before you move up to a mid range or a driver. Like yeah.
That's just because they're so touchy, and it's really going to help you get your form down correctly. Like you can take a driver and just chunk it as far as you can, and it could work out. If you take a putter and you don't throw it correctly, you're going to know that that's not the shot you wanted.
Yeah.
It's like you want to like throw your drivers. I'm like, nope, I'm always bringing my putter.
That's a great, thank you for saying that. There are a couple of courses in Austin, Seawright, and Zilker. If I were to live close to Wells Branch, I only pack mid-ranges for those courses. If I'm going out to practice, I only take my mid-ranges because I will be tempted to throw my power shots. And I'm going out there to work on mid-range shots. So that's also something that you can do.
I don't own any mid-ranges. Would you recommend
Well, Mint just happened to come out with this beauty called the Mustang. It is it is beautiful, guys. It is amazing. I have one in Eternal Plastic, which is kind of like a star plastic. It's clear. That one's going to be a little more understable. I cannot throw it in a headwind, but if I throw it flat, it flies for days. And it is gorgeous. This is the Mustang. This is the Sublime, which is going to be a tad more stable. It's not like the Bobcat, like where it's going to high throw out super hard. It's going to fly straight and then just fade just a little bit. I also love Makos and Stingrays. We can throw an open bag, so these are now my go-to adjusters for sure.
She asked what the numbers were on the Mustang.
Oh, You would ask me that?
I'm not sure, but you can visit bitdisc.com, and they do have the flight numbers there.
Okay, thank
but
you.
it's very straight, and it's
I
the
like to
furthest
say
I can throw them in.
Yeah,
is
no,
the
I
best.
asked somebody once when I saw him throw one super straight. I was like, what was that? And
Yeah.
it was fascinating.
And if
It's
you,
awesome.
you know, if you want to support us, the women, we also sell disc on the side. I don't know if I don't have
Yeah,
it
buy from
today.
them.
Yeah,
but
buy from
just
us.
for future reference.
Yeah.
So
great.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming out, ladies. This is beautiful. I think there's 50 of us today.
That's awesome.
So that, yes, please give yourself a round of applause. I would like to end the clinic with just saying, as women in our sport, we are few in numbers, but we are strong together. So just make sure that you're there for each other, lift each other up. You know, we're here competing, but that doesn't mean you want someone to do bad. You know, you want to do your best, you want them to do their best.
I always think about during rounds, like it's not me against the people on my card, it's me against the course, right? And like when you have that mindset, you're not worrying about like, oh my God, Stephanie just parked that, like now I have to go do the same thing. Like that's that's not the kind of mindset you want to have, right? It's you against the course, and like that's all that matters.
There is a new hashtag out there for women disc golfers. It's respect her game. It's a new movement we're trying to do to just show people that we are women. We deserve respect. You know, there's some people that like to comment on certain issues about our body or whatever it is, and just make inappropriate comments. So we're here to show them that we are strong, and that's not going to be allowed anymore. So use that hashtag.
Respect our game. Yes. And if you guys ever have any questions, like please feel free to reach out to any of us directly. We're always like more than happy to
If you
help
want to
you
play
guys.
around, like just hit us up. We're here for you guys.
Yep. That's
Thank
it.
y'all.
Thanks, y'all.
Thank you.